Welcome to the Amylase lab. This short video will show you some of the key techniques you'll need to carry out the lab this week. The first thing you'll want to do is create a color guide so you know what the difference between a positive and a negative starch reaction is. The first thing to do is to put a little spot in the spot plate of the IKI solution, and that's what the solution looks like in the spot plate, and then to add a little bit of starch to one of those droplets. And you'll see that when you add starch, there's a rather dramatic color reaction. And now you should be able to see quite clearly what the difference is between a reaction showing starch, that dark purple, and one not showing starch, the light brown on the right. The next thing you're going to want to do is label your tubes as shown above. Here we're filling with a different pipette than what you'll be using, but you want to label 3 tubes with starch solution, SS, and put 4 milliliters of starch in them, and then 3 tubes with each label with the concentration of amylase that you'll be using. Note that the concentrations may not be 10, 5, and 1%. Next, before you start your reaction, you want to prepare the spot plate, and we might actually want to prepare more than one spot plate in case you'll need them. And the way you do that is you put a little drop of the IKI solution in each of the wells of the spot plate. It's not super important that the volumes be exactly the same. Now you're ready to start the reaction. When you mix the starch and the amylase and mix them well, you then want to start your timer, however you're using a stopwatch or your phone. And then you want to make a sample early on to give you a control for what the starting level of starch was. And then after that, every 30 seconds, you want to sample 1 drop carefully from your reaction tube into the next well in the spot plate. And as you can see, we're coming up to 21, 22, 23, 24, get ready, 25, 28, 29, 30. Take your sample and spot it onto the spot on the spot plate, and you'll see the color should change from spot to spot eventually. Eventually, you'll collect a number of spots. This part here shows a sort of speeded up version of your taking samples every 30 seconds for several minutes. And as you can see, the color reaction is getting fainter and fainter. And finally, you'll reach an endpoint where the color of the reaction is exactly the same as when there's no starch. And that's your endpoint. That's when the starch has all been converted